check, check, check. Hello, 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 hello. So yeah. Hello, 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 hello. Check, 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 check one. Check, check, test. Hello, 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 hello. Check, check, test. Hello, check, check, check one. Check, check, test. Hello. Sound check, check one. Check, test. Hello, check, check one. Check, test. Hello, check. उसका अलग चैनल है ना उसमें फेस का कम हो गया होगा मास्टर पे चल रहा है चेक चेक हाँ इसका अलग से है ना उसका हाँ चेक 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 हेलो चेक चेक वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो हेलो चेक चेक वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो चेक वन चेक टेस्ट चेक चेक वन टू चेक टेस्ट रन दे चेक चेक वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो चेक वन चेक वन टू चेक टेस्ट हेलो इसका कम हो गया चेक दूसरे वाला चेक चेक वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो चेक वन चेक 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 वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो चेक वन चेक टेस्ट हेलो 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 चेक 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 वन तो एक पॉइंट कम कर दे चेक चेक वन चेक चेक हेलो चेक 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 रन दे चेक वन चेक चेक टेस्ट हेलो चेक चेक हेलो हेलो
If anybody wants to become the panelist or the moderator, the seats are available. The topic is honorary killing. Or else we'll be having the question answer session and the open discussion, can actively participate in it. After that is last 10 minutes. Good morning to one and all. I welcome you all to the 139th session of WEF 2016. The topic is family honor killing, galloping with the problem. The lead speaker is Manali Salabi. I would request her to open up the session.
Good morning to you all. As he said, my name is Manal Shalabi, not Salabi. I live in Israel. I'm a Palestinian woman from the minor. I will talk shortly about the Palestinian minority within the Israeli state. I'm a feminist activist, the founder and the director of ADAR, and ADAR is an organization for professionals who fighting the family honor crimes within the Palestinian society in Israel. It was founded like 5 years ago. I'm also a PhD fellow in the University of Haifa, and I'm a social worker in my profession. And when I was working with women, I was working with the battered women all my life in Hotline for Battered Women. And I saw that there is a big problem when we treat women, when we talk about violence against women, especially in very conservative societies. Okay, there is something that was missed for me to know exactly what's going on in the problem of violence, why people get to involved in violence, and how come at the end of the violence they murder women. What is the thing that really bring these people to do that, okay? And I just realized in my work that because the society is conservative and patriarchal and is undergoing changes because they live within the Israeli state. The Israeli state considered a modern society. I will talk about this later. So there is changes and also confusion between the tradition, the values of the Arab society, and the values of the modern society of the Israeli people. So topics and issues like sexuality, freedom of women, the freedom of women to have their right to live their lives in the way they want. These are things that they are not acceptable in conservative societies. And then I started to search about the main problem. And the main problem that the society still consider women as under control. They have to be controlled by men. And one of the phenomena that really kill the society within and interior is family honor crimes. We are still in the century 21, the 21st century. We are still have a big problem in the Arab society within Israel, which called family honor crimes. Okay, women still murdered in Israel for this reason. For example, in Israel, we have this year until now, 4 Arab women were killed for family honor crimes. And when I say family honor crimes, I'm saying that when the person who murdered the woman come and say, I killed her for what we call family honor. There are other crimes that happen that they are not considered family honor, and the person, the killer, doesn't say that he killed for family honor. And what is the difference? We'll talk about this, okay? So in 2016, can you just run the 2016, no, the one before, the first one. Okay, here. In 2016, just to let you know about the statistics, in 2016, in Israel, there were 4 Arab women killed, as I said. Between 2013 and 2015, 70 women in Israel were murdered by their husband and family members. 26 out of these 72 women were Arabs. Okay? Now, when we talk about Arab, we talk about a Palestinian minority within the Israeli state. And what does that mean? That means that this minority was occupied in 1948. And these people who live in Israel today, within the state of Israel, these are the people the natives of this state, and they were occupied, and they choose to stay in their homelands. And when we are talking about staying there and becoming a minority, it's something very hard, because we became a minority in this state, and the state treats us as a small group, while in our mind and concept, we still consider ourselves the natives and the origin of this land. So we have so many conflicts and contradictions in ourselves. In 2014, Israel had 1.72 million Palestinian citizens. We are talking about the citizens who include also people in East Jerusalem. Because people in East Jerusalem don't have a citizenship, Israeli citizenship, but they are included in we count them in the Palestinian people within the Israeli state borders. 20%, we are comprising 20% of the country's total population, which is not a small percent. Okay, the society is diverse in terms of religion. Muslim, we are 30% of the people are Muslim, 9% Christian, and 8% Druze. And Druze, this is a religion group who just get out from the Muslim religion, and they are in Palestine, in Lebanon, and Syria, and they are in Palestine like people who are very committed and loyal to the Israeli state. In 2013, 44% of all Palestinians in Israel will age 18 or younger. So we have a very, very young population, compared with only 32 of Jewish Israeli. Can we just go further? Since 1960, fertility rates have declined among all Palestinian groups, and the gap in the birth rates between Palestinian and Jews have all disappeared. So the Palestinian society, as I said, it's a patriarchal society in change. We have the values of the family, the hierarchy of the Arab family, whereas the grandfather and the father are controlling the family. And still we have and respect these values, and still very main in our minds. In the same time, we started to undergo changes related to the situation around us, surrounded us by the Israeli state. So one of the things that we see is changing is the fertility rates. Arab society, in the Arab family, there were like 10 and 12 children. They were given birth for 12 children. Now we see that it's declined so much. So the average family size was 3.2 children among Palestinians and 3.1 among Jewish, which is very, very close to the Jewish now, okay? Notably, the fertility rate for both Christian and Druze in Israel is now below the rate of Jews. So we have differences even in between the Arab society. Can we go? Okay. In 2011, 29% of the Palestinian women had some post-secondary education. When we talk about women in this society, we are talking about women who weren't get out to work. According to the values of the Arab family, women, until we are talking about the end of 80s, we are talking about families who were very conservative. They didn't get their daughters to go out and work. That's why the education and the employment rates were very, very low, compared with only 8% in 1990. So the education and the employment rates are more than what they was before. In fact, the rates of secondary education for Palestinians have now surpassed those of the Palestinian men, 29% as compared. So we are talking about changes also in the areas of education and employment, and we can see that women get out to work. Now we are talking about 33% of the Arab society, women in the Arab society work outside of the home. And these are some percents. Okay, if you look there, the percentage with post-secondary academic education, Arab and Jewish women and men in 1990. We talk about Arab women in 1990, it was 8%. In 2011, 29%. Compared to Jewish women, in 1990, there were 23% women who have academic or post-secondary education, and in 2011 there are 58% of the Jewish women have post-secondary academic education. So we have a large gap, although this gap has been narrowed in the 21 years. Let's go to the other slide. Okay, employment among Arab women. Jewish women always, they have the high rates, 71%, compared with the Arab women, 33% of Arab women in 2014 started to work. And the percent of Arab women studying for working by years of education between age 18 to 64 in 2011, years of education, we have percent for, okay, so we have 74%, which it means that we have a very, very big changes. Still, although these changes in education and employment, we still have and face problems as women because of the patriarchal concepts and the patriarchal mind. So women can go out and stay in the university, rent houses and apartments in order to get an education. But right after they complete their education, they have to get back to home and stay with the family until she gets married. Okay? So beside all of the changes, we are talking about conservative values that they are existing in the same time. And this drives the society crazy. How come that, can we go to the other slide? Employment, okay, and the other one, okay. When we talk about the Palestinian society, we are talking, women in the Palestinian society, we are talking about the lowest status in all society. We are a group, a gender group within a patriarchal society of Arab people who treat us as a subject, still most of them treating women as a subject, as something that we can control them. We are a gender group in the Israeli society because also the Israeli society still has values of patriarchal in the mind of to control women, not to let women to get to the management position, not to give them the all opportunity to be promoted. Still they have these values, although they are like more progressive than the Arab society. And we are minority as all in the Arab society. So we have, as Palestinian women, the lowest status. Can we go to the other slide? Okay. So when we talk about traditional values, we are talking about keeping ourselves from all, not to get into the, or involved with the Jewish society. One of the things that they're keeping all the time in the family to warn us from is not to get involved so much with the modern society of the Jewish people. So we have relations in the daily life with the Israeli society. We go to the universities with them. We work with them. We, for sometimes, live with them. But we all the time have warnings from the family that we don't have to get in and involved so much with the modern Israeli society, because we will take their values. And their values will make the society, our society, bad. Will take our women and make it very modern, and they can just make like what Israeli women do in the society. They are very open-minded, they are sexually open-minded, so we have all the time to protect ourselves from being involved with this society. Can we go to the other slide? Okay. So what is modernization? There is a very big complicated of this notion, because we think that modern society is to go out, to live alone, but actually it's not modern. It's a very complicated situation, because modern society for the Arab society is to get out from home and work. But actually, even if I get out of home and work out of my village or city, they still treat me and control me, okay? So they think that for out, to see things out, how I dress, all these things, for them considered modernization. But actually, the society modernization is a very complicated notion, and there is a transformation of women's life, okay? The Arab society, besides so many practices of controlling women and oppressing women, we have very open and free practices. For example, women can go out. I live, for example, in Haifa for 16 years, okay? And I'm considered modern in the eyes of the Arab society, okay? Although I'm considered a modern woman, I have to protect my honor. I have to do things that keep me in the line of the family values and in the Arab societies. For them, you can live in Haifa alone and be single, okay? And control your life. But you have to protect yourself from being not good, okay? Not good. So for them, modernization is something is being, it was, the Israeli society brought it. We can until some border accept it. After that, we'll not accept anything else. So if you look at the Arab society, it's changing. Something happens there, but actually the main concepts of patriarchal still control it. And this is a very hard and difficult situation, because the Arab women, on one side, they want to be liberated and free, and they give them the feeling that you are really free. But in the other hand, we are like, have all the time to be aware, to the concept and values. And this is make the contradiction in the life and the paradox in the lives of the women. Okay? Besides all of these practices of freedom and liberation that is happening in the Arab society, women still murdered for the family honor crimes. And what is happening here? Who is responsible for this situation? And we see as Arab society that the responsible of this situation is also the Israeli state. In two levels. The first level, that the state still treat the Arab society as a minority. They put the Arab society in, we have segregated cities and villages. All the Arab society live in the north of the Israeli state, out of the cities, the Jewish cities. We are not involved with them in the daily life, like in living with them. There are a few mixed cities, like Jaffa, Haifa, Akka, and they are mixed between Jewish and Arab. But actually within these cities, the state segregated between the Arab and Jewish. If you go to Jaffa today, and Lod, and Akka, and Haifa, Haifa is less, you can see small neighborhoods. The very poor neighborhoods within these cities are for Arabs. The Jewish don't come to live with them. They don't go to live with the Jewish people. So it's like they wanted the Arab to work with them, but they segregated them in these mixed cities. So we live in mixed cities with the Israeli Jewish people, but in the same time, we are segregated from them. If you go to Lod, for example, this is a mixed city, you go to the Arab neighbors, there is a wall surrounding all the Arab neighbors within the city. So the Jewish and the Arab are not come in contact in the daily life. So the Israeli state still discriminate against the Arab people. They don't all involve the Arab people in all position of management and all position that really need like insecurity and the big position, education, health, and all these ministries. The Arab almost are not there. And they can't even compete to these positions. And when we are talking about women, women also can compete to the position in ministries or formal institutions. So the Arabs are like being given, they were given few opportunities, but in the same time, until they are limited, they can't be in control in the country. So we stayed all the time in segregated places and segregated cities and marginalized from the control positions, okay? So this reality actually create a marginalized society at all. No position, no competing in control places. We can't work in every work, in every job that we want to go. So most of the Arab people work in NGOs and institutions in the civil society. We create our institutions, we work in it, and we try to give answers for all the problems that exist in the Arab society, okay? So that's why when we talk about women issues, it's usually treated by NGOs. It's usually treated by women, Arab women. We have common Jewish and Arab feminist organizations, but actually most of the Arab women prefer to work in separate organizations because when we talk about needs, special needs of the Arab women, we feel that we are the only people that we can provide answers. I remember that in 2006, in the Second War of Lebanon, we were working both Jewish and Arab women together in a feminist organization. And when the war started, every group of women went to it's a group. Like the Israeli women were identifying with the Israeli side, and the Palestinian women were identifying with the Arab world. So we were thinking What is the common, what is the mutual thing that we can do together? If in a small thing, not small, in the war, in a small, the first crisis that we face, we feel that everyone wants to go to its national group and to be with him. So I think that the feminist organization and the mutual organizations of women is good, and they work well. But the problem for sometimes that the Jewish women can't understand the special needs of the Arab women. Okay? So we are talking about big problems in the state, marginalizing us as national minority, working alone in our organizations, and don't have so many resources in order to provide a solution for this problem. So the family honor crimes is a phenomenon that exists in this society. In this complicated situation, that you have to understand the society, and you have to understand the values of the family, and to understand the needs of the women, and to stop these murders, and also to demand from the state to take a serious step in order to stop these murders. The problem that the Israeli state started to give punishment to the murders of family honor crimes only in 1998. And we are talking about like 18 years ago only, when they started to say, okay, we have to take him to the court and punish him. Before that, all the time the Israeli state treated this phenomenon as something cultural, that they cannot involve in it, and the Arab society has to resolve it. So the state didn't give serious solutions. We as society can't really give solutions, because a few of the people in the society really can understand the murder and they can justify it. The feminist organizations are not very supported, are not very welcome in the Arab society. So we have so many dimensions of this problem that we cannot solve. But we are in our organization so that it's very important to make an organization to establish a framework that works with this phenomenon from a professional point of view. That means to work with the social workers and the people who treat these women in order to bring a good solution for these women. Because so many women go to the social worker, and the social worker can do anything for her. First, because himself, for sometimes, doesn't believe the woman. Himself or herself believe in the values and the concept that really treat women as inferior, we say. And third of all, they can't do anything because so many of them are threatened by the society. If you help this woman and take her to a shelter, then we will kill you. 2 weeks ago, in Al-Fahim is a city in the north of Israel. A social worker was almost killed because she took a woman from home, a battered woman, and put her in a shelter. And people come, and the husband was threatening her and almost killed her because she brought a new thing to the society, a new concept of taking the woman out of the family and put her in a shelter. And they say this is not our society. This is something that you brought from the West, from the Israeli society. These solutions don't suit our society. So that's why so many of them are being threatened by the family of the women. In Israel, in 2016, we have 14 shelters for battered women. Only 2 of them are designed for Arab women. So even the state, not the state, and now the society can help us give solutions for this problem. So we are fighting, we are trying through these frameworks to bring for a solution to this problem. And that's it. I hope we can develop now the discussion and talk more about things that you want to ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Manali. Can we have the lights on, please? Right. My name is Krishna Pujara, and I represent an organization called Saheli in United Kingdom. We are a women organization and we've been supporting women. It's an organization that was set up for Asian women initially, but we have actually opened our doors to all women. So I'll go through briefly about honor killings and what is the cause, why it leads to honor killings. So just a bit of an introduction. Honor killings is the murder of a person accused of bringing shame upon their family. I'm sure the speaker, Manali, has gone through that already. Victims have been killed for refusing to enter a marriage, committing adultery, or being in a relationship that displeased their relatives or friends. In many instances, the crimes are committed by family members against family relatives. In some parts of the world, many women have been raped, have also been murdered for the dishonor of being a victim and the disgrace it brings to their family. It is believed that honor killings have been originated from tribal custom, where an allegation against a woman can be enough to defame a family's reputation. A life without honor is not worth living. It's like the izzat of the family. So I'll now talk a bit more about honor-based violence in the United Kingdom. Can I please have some light?
Later, yeah, thanks.
Right, murders have sometimes taken place after a family reacted violently to their daughter or son adopting the trappings of Western culture. This is all the customs that are brought back into UK. It's thought that up to 12 honor killings happen every year. They usually occur within South Asian or Middle Eastern families. One of the most well-known cases is that of Banaz Mahmood from Surrey. I don't know if there was quite a lot happened in late 2007, and a lot of issues were raised. She had left an unhappy arranged marriage, after which she started a relationship with another man. The 20-year-old was strangled and hidden in a suitcase, which was then buried underneath a Birmingham property. In fact, because not much was done, the police were criticized for mishandling her situation when she contacted them on a murder occasion before her death. Shaheen Taj from Henna Foundation said, honor is supposed to be a positive word. Clearly, calling a killing an honor crime is a contradiction of terms. A lot of talk and dialogue takes place after the crime has happened, but this is too late and too little. If you really want to deal with an issue, you have to unpack it in the true context. I think that has been discussed quite a lot with the Palestinian side as well. Now, regarding forced marriages and honor violence, organizations that deal with honor-based violence also help forced marriage victims, as some of these killed in the name of honor were trying to escape coercion or the matrimony where the control takes place. Since then, a lot of, as an organization, we have been campaigning a lot against these forced marriages, where we get a lot of young girls who flee sort of forced marriages. So there have been laws that have been introduced in UK, like the Forced Marriage Act took place in 2008, and it has reduced the problem. But the problems are still ongoing because people take their girls, little girls, back home to have a forced marriage to make sure that the honor is maintained. I mean, a few weeks before I was coming here, we had a 16-year-old who had flown from Yorkshire to London, and she reported it to the police, and she was brought to our services around 5 o'clock in the evening, where she said that if her brother finds out, she'll be killed. So it's something, this keeps happening even now in UK. And like you mentioned about social workers, and the minute they find out that the victim has come to us, we have to be very, very protective of the clients, because they have to be put into a safe home refuge where nobody can contact them. I mean, with this particular victim is an example where she could not even use her mobile phone to sort of contact because she knew that they were tracking her phone. Her credit cards and her cards were all cancelled. She was actually a nurse, training to be a nurse, and she knew what her rights were. So fortunately she was saved, but not all victims are saved in time, you know. They say that according to statistics, like 211 incidents have been reported in London, 129 of which were criminal offences between April and October last year. The increase may partly be due to police being instructed in September to assume honor crimes have been committed in more situations. The detective chief inspector gave a statement within the Metropolitan Police. They said young women are predominantly the victims of honor-based violence, but they were seen as an increase in young men and boys. It's now about 15% of total members. So when we say honor killings, it's not only just affecting the young girls, but even young boys are being affected within the certain culture. Globally, I mean, we all know that honor violence occurs worldwide from South America to Asia. The exact figures of how many men and women have been killed in the name of honor is unknown. Not all countries have official statistics, and it's a crime that it can be difficult to detect. But it's believed that the number of deaths are in the thousands. There is a concern over a rise in honor suicides in Turkey since the sentence of honor killers increased since 2005. There is a concern over a rise in honor suicides. The tougher punishments may have inadvertently contributed to more female suicides occurring in the instigation of men who want to avoid longer imprisonments. We all sort of know that it's a tradition and not a religion, but people do combine it as a religion rather than a tradition. None of the world's major religions condone honor-related crimes, but perpetrators have sometimes tried to justify their actions on religious grounds. Honor crime happens across the board in the Asian community, and people try to blame Muslims, Hindus, and Sikhs, but it tends to happen in families where there are the strongest ties and expectations. It's a very strong cultural issue. Leaders of the world faiths have also strongly denounced a connection between religion and honor killings. And I think on this note, I'll pass it on to my colleague here before we take Q&As. Thank you.
Well, first of all, both of you are fantastic, and I just love, and I want to get to know you both better after. So my name is Cinta Gonzalez. I was not planned to be one of the panelists, but I have a deep, deep investment in this issue. I'm originally from the States, but I have lived out of the U.S. for 29 years. I have worked mostly with the Arab world. I lived in France for 7 years, and I worked very deeply with the Tunisian, Algerian, and Moroccan population. And then living in Dubai for the last 18 years, I've worked with many Lebanese. I speak French, obviously, from having lived in France. And as a result, I work with the whole Lebanese population that are very affected by the situation with Israel and the civil war and everything that came from that, the trauma. But I also have been to Palestine twice, and just recently, actually, and went for, I won't go into the details of that, but I'm very intimately connected to that issue. I did live in the UK as well, and had strong experiences with your community, but not as much as the Arab world. So I'll speak more in the Arab world. I want to speak on two things. So I'm a counselor, I'm a psychotherapist. I work with couples, families. I work a lot with trauma held in the body, and that's one of my specialties. But I want to speak on two things. I want to tell you an anecdote from one of my clients, and then from there I want to speak on a more psychosocial, theoretical point of view that helps, I think, really wrap and tie in so much of this and explain on the level of the psyche why this can even happen. So I will first tell my anecdote to you all and then take it from there. So this client is Christian Lebanese, and So I won't go into all the social strata of what goes on with the Christians, the Jews, the Maronites, all the variations, the factions of the Christians and the Muslims, and the Civil War. That's a whole history unto itself, and very fascinating, and very connected to Israel and the creation of Israel. But having said that, so my Christian client is a man, and so when he was a boy, his father was kind of like the respected elder of the community. They lived in Brumana, which is a well-to-do suburb just in the hills above Beirut. And a Muslim neighbor, so at that time everyone got on well. This was before the Civil War. Everyone got on well and, was connected. So the Muslim neighbor, who they all knew because he was in the neighborhood, knocks on the door and says, says to the housemaid, I need to speak to, the father of the house. And so he says a couple words, and the father tells all the children in a very severe, grave tone, go to the other room and play. And they know something's up. So they all hide in the curtains of the adjoining room. And they listen to the entire conversation. And this is what they heard. And the Muslim man says to the Christian man, we have just discovered that our daughter is dating a Christian boy. You and I both know that that's not okay. You and I both know that if either of our daughters were to date someone of the other faith, that is violating the honor of our families. So we need to do something about that. So this is what I have decided, and I want your agreement because I want to get your advice and get your opinion, elder of the community, and even though you're of a different faith, we have the same value system. We don't want our families to be inflicted with dishonor. So this is what I'm thinking. I have 3 sons. The oldest son is married and has 2 children. The second son is about to graduate from university. My youngest son is about to enter into university. What I'm thinking is to have my youngest son kill his sister because he'll only get a couple years of prison. He's young. He's right on the edge of being an adult. It's no big deal. It'll be okay. The other ones, I don't want to destabilize my grandchildren and have their father go to prison. They'll find him. I don't want to overly hide, and I don't want them to go into hiding. Yeah, they'll have to do some prison time, but just a couple years, maximum 4 years. What do you think? Do you think my plan's a good idea? Do you think that the youngest son is the best option? The other father says, yeah, Yusuf, Yusuf, no. I mean, we shouldn't do any of this. It's okay. Let's just, encourage your daughter that that's not acceptable, and we must not kill her. That's not really what we should be doing. No. She has dishonored our family. There is anyone that has seen her with this boy. That is unacceptable. And so he left, and sure enough, the youngest boy did kill the sister, and he was given 4 years of imprisonment. So he was traumatized. My client was traumatized by this, and just the horror of this, and this came up in all of his many traumas that he has endured as a Lebanese man. And this story stuck with me because of my work very closely with women in all the years of working in the Arab world. And my daughter, I married an Egyptian Muslim, and who fought in one of the wars with Israel. And so I am also connected to the Israeli story, and having a daughter who's half Arab, and everything that's come from her, and being raised in Dubai, and having an Egyptian father and having this American mother who's a feminist, and all that's come with that, and what I've sanctioned, and all that comes with. So I'm intimately connected in an indirect way, but a direct way. Now, I want to speak on the psychological factor to this. There is something called narcissistic sociopathic disorder. And these are the symptoms of it. And what I want to basically say, and I love, what you both have said, but you, as the lead speaker, you have beautifully detailed the compassionate viewpoint about why this can even happen in the first place. The underlying factors that lead to narcissism disorder, to a narcissistic personality disorder. But we are talking here at a narcissistic sociopathic disorder. For that man to say to the elder of the community, no, 2 years, 4 years, no big deal. To have that disconnect on a very basic human thing, to violate his own allegiance and loyalty to his own daughter, as the most primal feeling as a mother or father is to protect your child. You want to protect them, you want to make them safe. And to disconnect and to dissociate. So whenever we dissociate in a psychological manner, This is where the normal defense mechanisms of projection, denial, exaggeration, whatever, aren't working anymore. It's where the pain has become so intolerable that something else steps in and takes the place to prevent you from feeling that pain. So what you beautifully delineated and showed, and myself, having been to Israel and Palestine, and I've been to the West Bank and different communities and done some interesting research and work there, I have seen the pain firsthand. I've seen the pain with all my clients in Dubai that are connected to this in or out. I've seen it with the many Pakistani and Indian clients that I've had. And so there's two levels of dissociation in the pain that has happened. One level is the political situation going on with Israel and the Palestinians, and that extraordinary occupation phenomena. To be occupied, the humiliation, the absolute humiliation. To go through checkpoints, I've been to Nablus, I've been to Ramallah, I've been to Bethlehem. To go through those checkpoints, and me as the American, flashing my American passport and sail right through, and watch these people in the sweltering heat and what they have to go through, and yet also the situation with Israel feeling profoundly threatened from, random attacks and not knowing how to do it. And so there's a true problem. If there was an Israeli in the room, they say, please at least speak to the fact that on a security level, we are constantly insecure. And how do we work with that? So I need to just put in that little plug. And there is no black and white solutions here, so I need to name that. But the reality is, regardless of what the cause is, the humiliation is extremely wounding for the male ego, extremely wounding for the male situation. So there's that piece. For the Indian community, there's definitely the whole thing of the racism that goes on, and the extraordinary, huge history of occupation and colonization of the Indian community, and Pakistan with its own history and own dynamics of being Muslim. There's that same thing. So you've got these men and the culture and the identity that has been profoundly threatened. And so somebody that's confident, somebody that has good self-esteem, somebody that's happy in themselves, does not want to harm someone else, is strong enough to sustain a difference of opinion. But when somebody is very threatened and very insecure, they're going to hold on to it, even if rationally it doesn't make sense, even if it violates that natural father instinct to protect their daughter or their son. And so this wounding is what needs to be attended to. This wounding is so, so deep. And then there's another wounding that's going on here that we need to name. All of these reasons that you gave, and I wrote them down very meticulously. I just want to name them again because it says something. The refusal to marry, my lovely colleague here, Krishna, the refusal to marriage is grounds for committing an honor killing. Adultery, relationship that has displeased relatives or friends. Whoa. Now, what does that all mean? Every one of these has to do with a woman's sexuality. Now, something else that I teach and do, and that I'm honored to say that I have taught the first sacred sexuality seminar workshop throughout Dubai since 2008. I've been teaching this work. And I've also gone into high schools and middle schools teaching a course called Emotional Intelligence and Conscious Sexuality. And so targeting I start with 13-year-olds. And so some schools give me permission, some schools definitely don't. Oh, no. What will the parents say? But I've gotten in, and I also lead private groups, and I've given lectures on this. And what I have found is that in working deeply, and I'm also a yoga practitioner, I practice Kundalini yoga, so I'm very aware of the energetic reality of something, and I use this word very judiciously, Tantra sexuality. Tantric sexuality has a lot of ooh, what are you doing? Like all these kind of myths. But there is an absolute science to it. There's an energetic and anatomical reality to it. And there is a whole dynamic there. I'm not going to get into all of that now. But I say this and I give you that background because there is a phenomena that happens with female sexuality that can be very threatening to a man if he is not secure in himself, if he has not come to terms with his own emotional life, his own vulnerability. Now, if he, again, has been shamed and humiliated for being vulnerable, and for being a vulnerable, beautiful little boy who has tears, for being a teenager that has tears, for feeling insecure, for all the things that come with. If we get rid of these tactics and treatments of erectile dysfunction and female, what is termed, I hate this word, frigidity, and we get away with these terms and we say, what's going on in your heart? Where have you been sexually abused? Are you traumatized? Were you ever shamed for just being vulnerable? Are you even into your partner in the first place? Then why would you even have a sexual response? So we open up this vulnerable domain, and we open up the sexual past the taboos, which is really, the sexuality isn't just the taboo of sexuality, it's the taboo of emotion. It's that taboo of vulnerable emotion. And this has so much work ahead of us. And so I want to name that. So if there is a whole cocktail of violations and emotional abuse on a male's sensitivity and vulnerability, whoa, then of course there's going to be all kinds of projections on the female sexuality and that feeling of owning it and wanting to keep it down and wanting to control it and everything that's connected to it. So I just want to name here, and so I'm going to wrap it up. I want to name here that this narcissistic disorder, at whatever level it goes on, at the personality level, at the sociopathic level, and it is sociopathic, dissociative, psychotic behavior to kill your own child. That is psychotic. And so as is some of the practices of ISIS. And you know, my former husband's a former psychiatrist. He's now in another field of medicine. We've had some, and as an Egyptian Muslim, we've had some fascinating talks about this. About, Cynthia, you know, this is psychotic behavior they're doing. It's not, you know, the beheadings, the this, the that. You know, we've got to go, what's the source? Why is someone doing something psychotic? And I think that is a way forward. Is that I think this, and I'm writing a book about this, because as you can tell, I'm quite impassioned about this, and I feel I have something to say, and I feel I have something to say in terms of all of this experience I have of working in this community. And I feel it's one of the contributions. Both of your work is so important, so on the ground, so necessary, the education. I also feel that the psychological identification of the phenomena that's really going on also has its contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very informative, and I think it gives a clear picture of what is happening and the problems that are still there. I think we'll start off with question and answers, and we'll go a bit more into discussion. Any questions for any of us?
Everything you're saying is an Australian problem, it's a European problem, it's a human problem. I am and could have been, I certainly was a perpetrator of the heart of all these issues. I could have been someone that actually could have done something and been, if you want to call it, a narcissistic perpetrator. I was a part of a church group that turned into a cult. My mind was focused on being a part of that system. So I used to travel around the world, spoke in 100 churches as an evangelist, but I never saw the country that I was in because I feared the country I was in. I was glad to go to the church because that was my colony. That was my people, just like you're talking about. Within Israel, you're in your colony. And I was so glad to see my people because everything around me, whether it was Sweden. I remember one time I was preaching in Sweden, and because I grew up with Swedish movies and stuff like that, I was so frightened of seeing a Swedish lady and going, I just need to get to the church. That's how insane, coming out of it, that's how insane I was. By the time I was 38, I made the organisation sack me. I saw there was something wrong with me because I started having problems with my wife, my children, myself. My conscience was not lined up, as it was when I was 17, when I loved my faith and I just wanted to help people. I turned into something I never planned to be. I disowned my parents because I joined it when I was 17. I became the black sheep. So I became something I never wanted to be. And that's the problem about being a part of just one group and not connecting with lots of other groups. You can't see yourself anymore. My daughter she showed me this card the other day that I'd written that 7 years ago. Now I have 2 daughters and I have a brilliant relationship with my kids and my wife now, 30 years married, so it's all in the past, it's another story. But she said, Dad, have a look at this card that you wrote to me when I was 17. And I was going through this radical change at 45 years old from almost destroying one of my kids' life, not through killing her, but through making her almost kill herself. So I'm just as guilty. I was just as guilty. I don't carry that guilt anymore because I'm a part of the solution these days. But I could have actually been totally contributing to her death if she took her life. What I love about this card is, obviously I've grown out of that sort of stuff. Now I'm certainly a vessel, and I disdain domestic violence. Grew up in that with my mum and my family and stuff like that. So my daughter gives me this card, a long card, and here am I now trying to go through this transition of being this perfectionist. I want to be a good man, and I realise I have no desire to be a good man, which means that I have no worries about being a bad man. I desire to be a healthy human being. And by being a healthy human being, I see everything for what it is. I don't see colour, I don't see age. So here I am going through this transition out of love for my daughter, and I write her this long card because I'm concerned about her future, sexuality, all the issues about, I just want her to be a healthy human being. And I write this card and I try to describe to her about, just be careful about the world that you're entering into. And we both laughed. I'm embarrassed as I was reading the card. This is just a week before I came here. And I go, I wish I could read the card. I won't because it's so embarrassing. And in this card I said, listen, you're among your friends and you're wearing shorts. Can you just be the one friend that just wears the longest shorts? That's how far I had developed. Do you see how far I developed? In a transition of 15 months where I almost took my life as a result of not being able to handle what I'd done. And I'm telling you, it's the best way I can help you and the best way you can help me is by not distancing each other. Working together.
Yeah, like as he was saying, I think this is not something that is just happening like in just one place. And how do you think, like, I myself have been involved in like helping some organizations to build things against violence, like domestic violence, and especially in the work place, because we think that that's actually a platform where it's actually developed within all these like inequalities that we have going through, like as women and men, especially in the financial area. But one of the things that I have seen is that we as women are like so concerned to bring women up again that most of the time actually leave men out of the issues. And I think, like as he said, it's really important for us to work together as a team, because there are a lot of men that are actually like supporting this, that aren't, like as your client, for example, that was so traumatized about this that of course he wants to like just change the things. But how do you think that we can actually engage with men? Because I think this is something that is really a taboo, and that in most of the Western countries, actually a really like questionable thing, because we think that is something that just belongs to the Middle East and that is not going on, for example, in the United States. But it is a reality and it's taking away a lot of lives. So how do you think we can just break this barrier in between men and women to just both of us contribute together?
The word comes, and it's been for every cause, whether, I mean, having grown up in the U.S. and the whole civil rights movement, I was a young child when the civil rights movement was happening. You know, it's education, 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 education. Barack Obama would not have been in the White House had what the extraordinary wave of consciousness that you know came through from even the early 60s. And so that education, and then all of that manifested all those 40 whatever years later, you know. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is that, you know, I think it's finding those men. So I'm going to give you an example. I have a lovely colleague. His name is Tom Young. He's from the UK. And he's a coach, and he also has created two groups, one called Distant Dads in Dubai, DDD, So it's fathers that are missing their dad, their children that are working, because Dubai is such a commercial city and so many dads are there without their kids. And so that emotional safety group for fathers to express their feelings. And he also created another group with a co-founder who is another very dear friend. It's called The Next Level. And it's for men to go up to that next level. So to answer your question, he and I are in collaboration on so many things. So one thing I did recently with him is I did a podcast with him, and I interviewed him on healing the masculinity. And so then, and I can give you all my card, and you can access it on my website. And it's, and so what I did was ask him, so for me as a female, listen, getting a man who is articulate, I'd want to interview you, finding a man that's articulate, that has been initiated in the fires of initiation and humility and ego death and everything that comes with really facing those really hard core things about why the masculine isn't healed. And so in interviewing him, it was beautiful, and he even cried during the interview, and in a really noble, dignified way, And then I sent it out to my whole list, he sent it out to his whole list, and it just made its thing, and it was shared all over the place on Facebook, and it was brilliant. So I think that's just the first thing that comes to mind, is educate, 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 just offer it out. And if you feel like you're on a pearl of wisdom that can be educated, spread it out. And it will speak to the collective. And I mean, the day when Barack Obama, won, but when he was inaugurated, there was, I've lived in Dubai for a very long time, so there was an American that was hosting an inauguration party at her house, and I went with, and everyone else there was only a couple of us that were American, everyone else there wasn't. And we were all crying. It's like, we are watching an extraordinary moment in consciousness history, not just history, where consciousness won out. And that, to me, is the thing. And everything, and all the people that died and struggled and were jailed and were bitten by dogs, all the German shepherds that bit all the protesters during the civil rights movement, all those people, that what they put into that and have created now, that thing, I feel that same, that impacted me so much as a child, that watching those movements and being part of them, and I won't go into the details of that, and then to see an Obama get in. And so for me, that same thing, and to see men speak out against honor killings from your communities and educate other men, and finding those men that are articulate, that are charismatic, that are intelligent, that's what we need. We need that, and then to collaborate.
If we are talking about the Palestinian society in Israel, and you mentioned that the West Bank and Gaza, people in West Bank and Gaza have a different reality, actually, because they are under occupation. They have soldiers getting into their house. The Arab society within the Israel says we are under occupation, but actually we are citizens, and we don't have clashes in the daily life with the Israeli people. So we are citizens of the state, and this is more difficult because we are citizens, but actually we don't get rights, and we are discriminated. But about the issue of involving men with us in our feminist organizations and activities, I think that Arab men, there are two discourses actually in the feminist movement in Israel, the Palestinian in Israel, that in one discourse is saying that we have, first of all, to end the occupation and to fighting national level. And after we just end the occupation, we have to go and just deal with our social issues within the society. And the other discourse says that if we want to end the occupation, and we are demanding for equality in the civil arenas, so we have to make the struggle together. Both socially, gender, and nationally. So I'm from the second discourse that says we can't separate the struggles. We have to do it together. The problem that the men, I'm talking of the Palestinian men in the Israeli society, see in the high priority is to end the occupation. They don't talk about any other thing except talking about inequality, about demanding for equality in the Arab society and from the Israeli state, and they don't see themselves partners in the gender struggle or the feminist struggle. That's why for sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, I'm wondering how come that these people are demanding for equality in the same time that they are murdering half of their society. And this is a big contradiction and paradox that I think that prevent men from being involved in the feminist and gender issues, and prevent women also to see the Arab patriarchal men a part of their struggle. And this is really the big paradox, I think. They are our partners in the national struggle, but they are not our partners in the gender struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to add a little bit about the issues that are arising within UK, and as we all know, it's mostly young people who go through this honor violence. And the difficulties are, I mean, just talking about the case we had a few months ago, it's the 16-year-old girl fleeing honor violence and sort of making sure that she's safe. I mean, within the system, and when we are trying to refer her to the services to make sure that she's safe and sound, and the person at the other end would say, no, 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 I think she's faking it. She just wants a home. She wants to leave her parents, and it was very difficult to crack, and we had to put her into a bed and breakfast because we could not arrange a refuge for her at night. And they said, we want evidence. She didn't have that. So we had to go through that for a couple of days before it was actually made possible for her to prove that she was. But within those 2 days, I mean, the workers, my officers were working with her and being with her. So these are the issues of cost that arises, which are not included within certain NGOs. But it's again the mindset of people. They say that, oh, it's the teenagers having problem with the parents. She wants to flee home and she doesn't want to stay with them. So these are like, we are trying to break the barriers, and a lot of awareness raising talks goes in schools, at community centers, within faith leaders, because a lot of people end up going to faith places to get help, and we make sure that our leaflets and publicity is there. We have like little business cards where helplines are available, and we do tap into it, but unfortunately it's very difficult to say how many more goes on. Did you want to add some more? Thank you.
Just less than 1 minute. Okay, I'm speaking from the heart. I can't articulate in other ways, but this is, to me, is an issue of the heart. If you will open yourself up to, there is men out there. They're like a secret army. I'm tapping into women's prisons now. How am I doing that? Because I can. I don't need the government to let me do that. I will annoy people. I go into men's prisons now. I go into construction companies. And the reason why I do that is because I'm not intimidated. And I am white and middle class. And they don't know what to do with me because they can't sack me. I am self-sufficient. And so what I do is, because now that very thing that was the opposite, that was restricting my daughters, or my wife, or my mum, who's 93, who in the last 3 or 4 years said that her whole life was like a rose, all the way up to the top, I was like thorns. Up till 73 years old, she suffered domestic violence. When my dad died 20 years ago, her life started again. And she said, my best years of my life, I loved him, but the best years of my life has been the last few years to watch you guys blossom, to watch me. I hang out with my mum every Sunday. She's my church, every Sunday for 3 hours. And I watch my son visit her every week. And so redemption has come into our home. My point is that we are warriors. I'm not going to change that. But now that's become now a strength to you. My daughters can feel that they are protected finally from dad, from the real issues. My wife is protected finally from her husband, from the real issues, not controlled. And my mum is liberated that her son is a warrior. If that makes sense. There is a secret army out there if you will let us in. Just let us in.
I think the last question.
Quick question. I want to know what the laws are in Israel and in the Arab world with this honor killing. I mean, are they quite strict about it, or?
The legislation?
Yeah.
Like we have a forced marriages act in the UK.
How, I mean,
What sort of legislation is there?
The laws, how do they accept?
Okay, this is actually what I'm saying about the government. Actually, the Israeli state, you mean in terms of rules and regulations and all of this? This is what I've told you when I was speaking in the lecture, that the Israeli state actually, in the whole issue of violence against women in Israel is very, the treatment of the state is very, very, I think, primitive, let's say that, because the whole rule of violence against women, of preventing violence against women was only taken in 1991 in Israel, which is very, very late compared to other European states, because it's considered itself European. So the problem is not only in putting rules and regulations, the problem is in implementing it. And the Israeli state in general, not only against Arabs, doesn't implement the rules. So a man, even a Jewish man, can kill his wife and go to the jail only for 6 months or for 1 year, and just, helping him getting out because, So when we are talking about the Arab minority, it became more and more complicated because, as I said, they treat this or deal with this issue like a cultural issue, internal cultural issue of the Arab society. And they claim, how can we get involved in this issue? They have their problems. And if we get involved, they will say that we are controlling them. In this sense and this term, Israel wants to be very, very not involving in the Arab society. So they say in terms of culture and honor and all of these things, this is something that relates to Arab society. Until 1998, after the feminist organization started to demand that the government take a serious action, they put this rule to prevent murder against family honor and also punish the murders in a very serious. But still, until now, in the court, they take into account so many circumstances of the murder and the killer, and they don't treat, let's say, this issue seriously. Still, so many things has to be done in order to prevent killing.
Justify the session and to be fair with all the speakers, we have just 2 more minutes to wrap up this session because next the person are waiting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to. So wait, hold on, I lost my concentration. No offense. What did you just? I want to pick up on something you just said. Sorry, say it again. The legislation. Yes. Give me 1 second. I had something important to say, and I got sidetracked.
The rules involving in a cultural issue that doesn't.
Voila. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's interesting. And I think again, there's 2 things I want to say. One is that, having been on the ground and having seen and just all the things I've seen, to see the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, to go in with the scrutiny and the laser and the amazing, sophistication that they have to find down, any boy that has thrown rocks, but to not give that same priority to women. There's something very, very, that says so much that is not given a second priority. The other thing I wanted to conclude with that I think, that I'm so glad I remembered, is that, so as I told you, I was married in the Egyptian culture, and one of the relatives of my former husband, she's a lot younger, she married an Egyptian. Actually, he's half Palestinian, half Egyptian, but raised in Egypt. And he domestically, and followed to what you said, he physically abused her when they lived in Egypt as a married couple. And then they moved to Dubai. They lived in Dubai for 5 years, continued to physically abuse her. Then they emigrated to California, to the US. And at one point I was talking to her, because she's got a horrible story with her first marriage. And I asked her, if I could have permission to share it. And so I was interviewing her in California. And then one thing came up, and then something about physical violence. And I said, wait, have you been physically violent in your current marriage? She was like, yeah. She goes, oh, but it doesn't go on anymore because we're in the US. I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, because, and she was so nonchalant about it. And she goes, oh, well, I told him, he was about to hit me when we had moved to California. And I said, oh, no, now you can't do it because I'm in the US, and now I can call the cops, and they will stop you. In a way, I could never have called the cops in Dubai, and I could never have called the cops in Egypt. And so I just want to name that that is a deterrent. And so she was, now we're domestic violence free because I live in the U.S. She was, oh, but if we ever move back to Egypt or Dubai, forget it. I mean, there's just no hope. And I just want to name that. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's very good, and thanks very much. Do you want to finalize and close the session?
Thanks a lot, audience, and thanks a lot, panelists, and as well as lead speaker. It was great content, full session we had at the first today. Thanks a lot, and thanks for the participating well. Welcome.
Are you sure? Oh, maybe. Friday?
I don't know. I have the list only of my hall.
Today?
Yes.
Oh, I went to the back packet, yeah, it's called the back packet. Back packet.
लेता हमें खोल सकते हैं भारतीय मैंने 4 से 5 में जाता भारतीय में जाता અને ચારો મેડમ ચારો કુમાર છે એને છે ને સર્ટિફિકેટ ઓફ એપ્રિસિએશન દેવાનું છે કે તમને આપી જાય તમે એટ ધી એન્ડ ઓફ ધીસ સેશન અવોર્ડ ની મળે ના અવોર્ડ ની લોકો આપી જાય છે
So wait, one at a time, okay? So our eyes are all on that. Because then it's weird. The photos are weird. All right, so the guy, you're I can't see very well.
And mine.
All right, so we're all going to look at only this camera, okay?
Only my-
All right,
कॉपी करो डेस्कटॉप पर मूकी रीनेम कर दे પૂરું થયું હવે ચાલુ કરવાનું છે પબ્લિક આવી ગઈ છે પબ્લિક વેટ કરે છે તમારો ટોપિક શું છે ડીયુ कोई भी बैठे चलेगा पैनलिस्ट यस एज अ पैनलिस्ट
सामने से फोटो क्लिक करने के लिए नहीं बात नहीं लेंगे नहीं वो तो ले रहे हैं ना रिकॉर्ड भी कर रहे हैं
मैं हमारे फोटोग्राफर को भेज देता हूँ ठीक है
I'll look you up online.
चालू कर दो
I'm here always.
Yes, we need to start the session. We are already late.
Can I have a sheet of paper so I can jot down some points? Take me to
We have a
in my hand, yeah. I want to start with the इनका नाम क्या
Yeah, absolutely, I will do it.
And what you do is you just
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I have.
nothing you don't say. So you become a
I have this also. Yeah.
Can you have this? Good morning to one and all. Once again, after a tea break, we are again with the session. It is the second session of the day. The session name is The Lies I Tell Myself About Being a Woman. The lead speaker would be Ms. Charu Kumar, Ms. Ranjita Kumar, and the panelist Erika Chintia. I would like to invite Ranjita ma'am to open up the session.
Very good morning and namaste. Welcome to India. My name is Rajita and professionally I head the South Asian region for a Swedish multinational, and I have been into kind of a management position for some time, and I have a diverse team, and here I am today actually going to share something which is very close to my heart and also personal journey. And I would like to start exactly with the song which we heard last night. And ma'am, before I go ahead, I'm very honored to have you here in our session, all of you. It is really that I was inspired to hear all of you yesterday. Inside my head, there lives a dream that I want to see in the sun. Behind my eyes, there lives in me that I have been hiding for much too long, because I've been too afraid to let it show, because I'm scared of the judgment that may follow, always putting off my living for tomorrow. It's sleep to step out on faith, I've got to show my face. It's been elusive for so long, but freedom is mine today. I've got to step out on faith, it's time to show my face. Procrastination had me down, but look what I have found. I have found strength, courage, and wisdom. If I go back, so it's about like 27 years, a complete breakdown in terms of emotional, psychological, physical. It's you can say the pain of being away from a child when he was about, my son, 1.5 years. And this is the price that I had to pay, listening to the lies that I have been telling myself being a woman. And the lies were that I'm not enough. And the lies were, in the Indian context, of course, that I have to have approval of others for my choices. And the lies were that I need to depend on, on others, especially the male counterparts or the family or the society at large to follow my dreams. The lies were like I used to take away a genuine part of me at the back, and it was all coming from the darkness. And the price I paid, of course, was because I started seeing the truth only when I was kind of catapulted into onto this path. And I started actually looking into the truth. I started actually finding that courage from somewhere inside me to follow my path and follow my truth. And it was definitely not easy, because especially in the Indian context and from the kind of background I had, the tradition, the city, and all the Indians will identify, how we are kind of brought up, and especially the women. It's about family, it's about husbands, it's about children. You actually have to put yourself later, you come later. But I actually took the road which was less traveled, and there was a point in my life when I took a decision that if I have to move ahead, I would have to leave the current reality, and I have to start doing things from a different place. And then, of course, I had to also pay a price for that. I had to stay away from my family. I had to stay away from my son, who was just 1.5 at that time, for 4 years, into a new city, new job, loneliness, of course, and the struggle and everything. But I never gave up. I wanted to choose to see the sun, the stars. And this is one side. The other side is, what was the rewards of actually listening to the voice inside me and following the truth? The rewards were, of course, that today, where I stand, is a completely different person. When I look at the hindsight, that was a different person. It's about being aware where I am today, what I have achieved in terms of material gains. Just to name a few, not that they actually matter a lot, but yes, owning a large house at a very plush neighborhood in the city I live in, being nominated from the CEO of the company to go to Fuqua School of Business, Duke University for the advanced management, to be nominated to go to IIM, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, to take actually the leadership position and to lead a team which has women actually much older and much senior, who are like 56, to a team of men who are about like 25 to 30, and being in the space where I'm like traveling across the globe, meeting different people. And today here I am because my managing director and the boss and also my manager, who's a Danish lady, they feel that I should actually, that the company should sponsor and get me here, to be here today with you and speak. And it's also about the responsibility, because taking responsibility is not easy. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of awareness and mindfulness. It's also about raising 2 boys who actually can have a better future. It's also about helping other women who I have been attracting myself. It's also about men that I have been attracting for advice on life situations or conditions that they have been facing. And as it would be, and in the quest, I have also been recently actually have completed a course on applied Mahayana Buddhism, psychology and ethics, which is again a different field of study of the mind. And the teacher actually has nominated me, which is my good karmas or the merits I may have accumulated, to actually translate and transcribe all the teachings of great Tibetan masters who are based in US, and which is Asha, who has been the teacher of this course, has personally recognized, because I topped the course with almost A plus, and she feels that I have those energies that can actually change the world of not only mine but others. So with a lot of gratitude and a lot of courage, strength and wisdom that I was hearing yesterday, I think I want to help all others who are at the same spot, and I want to do my best to help people to actually follow, and especially the women, and of course maybe men as well, to follow the dreams and have the courage, because we don't value ourselves. We don't listen to that voice which is there all the time telling us that you are, made to do different things and bigger things. And it all stems from fear, I think. It comes from fear. At the root is the fear, and we have to have the courage to face that fear, which is so important. This is my little story, and I would like Charu also to share her views on this. Charu. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajita. That was really an inspiring story of yours, and I mean, many women can relate to this. Before I start, I'll introduce myself. I'm Ms. Charu Kumar, and I have experience of around 14 years of service. And currently, I am a CEO and co-founder of a company called NoisyRock.com. And we are selling men's stuff pan-India. And very recently, we were also invited by Ratan Tata to be invited for the funding for this particular company. And also, I was identified as amongst few hundred women as a young entrepreneur. I don't know how, but they did find me out. So my life has been just bed of roses. That way, touch wood, I've been very lucky. But all through my journey, I have, besides that, what I wanted to also mention was that I am a motivational speaker. And also I speak and I give lectures to women in my city and around the cities to raise their standards and to make them, get onto their heels and start working. So I always tell women, as I just heard her, and I think I always tell them that your existence is not something that was just by chance. When you came into this world, when I came into this world, there was so much of body mechanisms and different kind of hormonal imbalances happening in a body and mystic things which are not even answered today. We were created by the Creator, not by chance. He chose a date for us. He chose a body for us. There was a date, time was selected for us. And wow, what a celebration it would have been up there when He chose to give us a life of a woman or give us a life of a human where we have hands. I'm happy not to be born as a pet, my pet, or maybe a dog or an insect. I'm so happy my Creator was so kind to me to make me a woman or to make me a person. How much time He devoted. He loved me. He made me a daughter of His own. So I don't give right to anyone to demean me, to give me a right to show me that I'm pitiful, I'm in danger, I'm dependent on you for my survival. I'll tell them, Satan, you are a Satan, you are a devil. And I am the daughter of that Creator who has created me. And how can you tell me that I am a failure? I am successful, I ought to be successful no matter what. And He has blessed me and He's there with me. So I always, it's a scientifically proven fact that whatever, and it's scientifically proven, and you believe me, you work on this, it will happen. Whatever you feel into subconscious mind of yours, and you consistently nourish it and feed it with your passion, it is ought to become a reality someday. These were the words of Earl Nightingale. And I also say, and this is again a scientifically proven thing, because why am I always saying scientific? Because had I said that, you guys would not have believed me. And these are the real facts of very successful people. That we are always in other men's shoes, other people's shoes. As she said that, okay, I was a mother. I was told I'm a mother, I have to raise a child. So it's more important for me to live according to what my family is saying. But I had a dream. I wanted to be something else. Many times what happens is, there is something like, oh, this is something different. I think I've just met, it's okay. As a woman, I have no country. As a woman, my country is the whole world, and this is what it shows. So we women are so powerful. So there is something which we say, next slide please, that you can't have it all. And I think she described it beautifully, that you just can't have it all. You can't be a mother at the same time. You can't be an entrepreneur at the same time. You need me. You need us to do this. Otherwise, you just can't do it. You'll screw it. But that's not the fact. Why can I screw it on my own? You know why? Because we have made a very simple choice for ourselves, a very easy choice for ourselves, and that was us, that we blamed ourselves. We always took a choice of blaming ourselves for not being enough. I can't have all. We made this choice, and we gave our strips to people to control us. When we said that, people around, we became the victims or under their control. I go to office, I know I might be missing on my son's sports day. When I'm here today, I have missed on my son's tiffin packing, getting him, waking up from school, sending him to the bus stop, helping him to board a bus, giving him that lovely hug. But I know if I'm excelling in one field, I'm also sacrificing failure in the other. If I'm at my home, I'm also probably missing on preparing something for my next day to work. That's okay. I can feel guilt. But till the time I realize that what is the purpose and I'm in the pursuit of my dreams, I can, and at the same time my family realizes the importance of me doing the same and becoming a happy mother and a happy wife at the end of the day. It's all happiness. We have to fight for it. We have to ask for it. But nobody will fight for it. We are the ones who's gonna do it. I just tell women, you're so beautiful. We all need to leave a legacy with each other. You know what? Whenever we talk about our sad moments, what do we invite? We invite pitiful, demeaning ourselves. We invite people to control us, poverty. We invite the injustice or telling ourselves that we are the weaker sex. We invite that when we talk about the sad moments of our life. We don't need to do that. We have to tell it's success, success, success. Nobody's going to say that for me. Nobody's going to say that for you unless you make it yourself. I have to say success, success, success. And believe me, it's going to come to me. Other people will speak it for you. And the way you will succeed will be double when it rebounds back to you. When we talk about, have you ever heard of people speaking, rich people talking about poverty? Believe me, I found, I think the next one, very interesting write-up. Well, these are the ladies which I really have lots of respect. When I say the way I can't, I can't be the way I am. When I say I can't be the way I am already proving that I am a loser. Nobody is responsible for who I am. When I was born, or when they were born, they never had a bed of roses, life as a bed of roses. They never had a beautiful childhood. But when we keep blaming ourselves, that's not that we're blaming ourselves, because we have taken this choice. I always tell the people who come to me or wherever I go, and whenever they admire me, I say I found my own ways. How? Because I never said that I am a loser. God, I am your creation. You have created me for a purpose, and now it's my duty to find what am I here for. Either you understand life or make life understand you. Because if I say I can't have it, then I have all of you pulling me down. I have these ladies and many more amongst here who are winners in their own sense. But I just again see, have you heard any rich men talking about poverty? He never says I was poor. I heard a beautiful slide again where Bill Gates is talking with Warren Buffett and they say, remember the time when we were poor? He says, no, I don't want to remember it. Why do I remember it? Have you ever heard somebody who's very happy talking about sadness? He would never. Have you ever heard somebody who's fallen in love talk about betrayal? No. Anybody who is who is so beautiful talking about ugliness, then why do you have to talk that, hey, we are poor, hey, we just can't do it? If you talk about your sad moments, world is gonna pull you that way. Let's say that let's talk about our first woman in existence, Eve. So we have her story with us every time. Let's take her in account her story where she did not have kids to cry for, or she never had unpleasant neighbors to bother her, or maybe pollution or financial problems, or maybe in-laws. She did not have any one of those, but what did she do? She chose a very simple and an easy choice of blaming herself for her problems. The environment in which she was, in fact, was an environment where she could be very happy and very successful, and a very easy environment. But what did she do? She chose to be unhappy. That was a choice made by her. So she gave the exterior factors, exterior people, exterior environment, the key to her life. She was the one who made that choice. We would always say it's a man-dominated world. I do agree. When in the ancient times, the strength of a person was known by the physical strength, because the only thing to earn or to live was to eat food. So men would go and hunt, and the woman in the house would take care that he is fed properly, so tomorrow he has to compete with animals and the wildlife and he has to go and hunt. So we used to give preference to men that time because the preference was based on the physical strength. Time evolved. Now, going out, earning was not entirely the physical strength. It was the creativity, the intelligence, your potential, which we women also had. But we did not capture it. The time evolved, but we set ourselves in that old, late time. The purpose of me is today standing here is not blaming you all. I mean to say, I will never say to anyone, many times we see that I'm at home and I'm dressed up as a homemaker, but hey, I want to be like Madonna. I want to dress up like Madonna and I want to just sing outside. That's my dream. That's my passion. But I pacify myself with the lies of what the society has portrayed, has imposed on me, because I gave the society that liberty. As I was telling you, every day, okay, I'm a homemaker. I'm not qualified enough to be, let's say, a singer, or maybe an actress, or maybe a writer. I don't know how do I write books, but that's a passion in me. Don't let that passion die. Don't blame my husband would not give me money for that, or my parents would not support me, or my job would not support me. Every day, if you spend 1 hour in your passion, I bet you on that, just 1 hour out of, let's say, 10 hours of your active day. 1 hour, 45 minutes to 60 minutes, if you devote every day to your passion, within 5 years or less, you will be able to pursue your passion and you will be highly successful in that. Believe you me, I'll drop my email ID here, and if it's not happening, you screw me. Because that's a fact. Every day, just an hour on your passion, just work on your passion. Maybe your passion is writing, just work on it. And believe you me, 5 years or less, you will be the king of that passion. So it is just my own determination. I am today also not that weak to blame that my circumstances were the ones that has made me come to this situation. I will not talk about my sad moments. I would talk, I'll tell you something, a very small, which has impacted me. I was born into a very intellectual family. So my family is all doctors, engineers, and architects. So I used to travel when I was a small little girl. I used to travel on airlines. So I used to really get fascinated by air hostesses. I hope there's no air hostesses here. Are there? No. So what happened? I used to get so fascinated by them. So beautiful, you know, they were dressed up so well. So a small girl would definitely, and the way they speak, you know, the smile on your face. So one day, there was some gathering at my place, and my aunt asked me, "So Charu, what do you want to become?" She said, I said, "Oh, I want to become air hostess." It happened so that my family just got into a trauma. That what is she talking about? So I looked at my mom and my grandparents, and I said, "What went wrong? What did I say?" They said, "So what made you think, say that, beta?" You know, in a very polite way you say in the public to just tell me to shut up. So they said, "What made you say that?" I said, "Wow, that's a wonderful job. I would like to travel the whole world, and on the top of that, being paid too. What else do I want?" So what kind of stories I was told? Because according to them, I was intelligent. So they said, "You would be a doctor or engineer or an architect or maybe a lawyer or something." And air hostesses, you know what do they do? When you leave the flight, when you get out from the flight, they clean the whole flight. They cook food for you. They wash your utensils. At times, they're even cleaning the plane from outside as well. So, you know, and they just took nuts out of me. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, is that terrible?" So they said, "Yes, you know, because they won't pay you just for standing there and smiling and looking good." So I was like, okay. So I became engineer. I'm M.Tech. I'm a B.Tech and an M.Tech from a reputed college of this country, Punjab Engineering College. It stands as one of the best 10 colleges in the country as well, in the world as well. So I became an engineer, but in the way when I became engineer, I realized that what actually the truth was of an air hostess. And I was like, okay. I did fight with my parents, but that was okay because I thought it's okay. They thought better for me. But you know what? It's a very small thing. My dream of traveling, my dream of going to places was still there in me. And you don't feel comfortable until and unless you complete yourself. So what did I do? I didn't tell my husband or my friends, "You know what, I couldn't be a husband because my parents didn't allow me." No. I'm a computer engineer, though I don't enjoy coding. I don't enjoy programming. So I've always been into the administrative jobs and the head of the departments. So I started pursuing my passion of writing. I write articles in the newspapers, and they're published in a big way. So my opinions are kind of regarded. Why? Because I don't know how to write. But every day I would spend at least half an hour on my passion. I started writing. I still want to write a book, and my dear friend Emma will be helping me someday. Yeah. So I started writing. I was getting invited for the sessions, and in a way, I was pursuing my work. I was pursuing my work in a way where I attached traveling to my profile in a useful way. Now I have been invited to various places to give lectures on conferences regarding my work, and not only my work, my writing, and maybe at times for motivational speeches. So I am enjoying that traveling in a very, very reputed way, according to my family as well. So I didn't let my passion of traveling die just because my parents didn't allow me. And I tell them, or I tell my husband or my kid, "Oh, if I had a daughter, I would have made her air hostess because I was not the one." My life is beautiful, and I don't think I'm ever going to get old. Rabindranath Tagore, if you all know, he learned painting at the age of 75, and his paintings are till date the best paintings. He felt there is no age to learning. Just because he was a man, he was successful? No. His mind was like that. We need to make such mind. We need to have. See, women, we have gone such a high way, such a long way. Now, as such, we cannot move back. We are now so successful, but there is always that societal pressures which are in our mind. That, oh, if I do this, what will he say? What will they say? Cut the shit out. I was reading something yesterday on my, I have it on my phone. So one of the actors said, she's 73 years old today. She said, if you don't like something, tell him, fuck off. And you'll be successful. I just have that screenshot with me, and I'm just forgetting her name. She's too popular. So she said, just if you don't like anyone, just tell him, fuck off. And that is why I'm here. So you guys need to live the life the way you want, because it's all in your mind. Don't make anybody responsible for pulling your strings down. You are the leaders, and thank you all for coming here, sitting here. And you can't even imagine the kind of energy I am taking in standing here, meeting you all, Epa, Emma, beautiful friends I have made here. And that is what I'm perceiving. That's the energy I'm taking from you. I'm taking energy from all you successful women. And I think I will intensify my success rate more. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Charu ma'am and Rajita ma'am. I would now request Chitya Arika ma'am as a panelist to put a light on the topic.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cynthia Gomez Tagle Bravo. I am from Mexico City, and actually now I live in Tijuana. I apologize myself because I was supposed to have a translator here to help me to talk to you, but I will try to explain myself, and I will have to support with this. Okay? First of all, I will want to say that it is an honor for me to stay here in this forum with so many talented people here, all of you, sharing things and talking to and getting to know each other. And in this, also in this beautiful country that has a lot of color, life, flavor, love. So I am very pleased to be here with all of you today. I also forgot my glasses, so I'm a little trouble. All that our speakers has told today is extremely interesting. Definitely, their experience will give us something to think about it. And of course, their words, I will keep it in mind, and I will keep it to Mexico. And from my personal point of view, I realized that that being a woman is a very complex matter, because in our ways to improve, we learn and grow, and we feel like we have to be perfect. We have to be perfect as daughters, as sisters. We have to be perfect as students. We have to be perfect as friends, wife, mother, professionals. We feel that we have to be perfect. But in that way, we get lost, because we don't have to be perfect. We just have to live. We just have to enjoy. We just have to be where we are, because that's the perfection. We have to live. We have to enjoy. And when I was thinking, or when I was trying to choose the topic, or that I want to be a panelist, the theme, the lies I tell to myself, it hooked me up. Because at the beginning I said, the lies do I tell about myself? Well, what lies do I tell? I don't know. So I was thinking, that made me think and keep thinking, what lies do I tell myself? What lies do I tell myself? And on that way, I need to support with this, I'm sorry. We feel like, what lies do I tell myself? I keep thinking, I keep thinking, what lies do I tell myself? And in that thing, I had no idea of the meaning of what lies do I tell myself. I am a lawyer, and I work as attorney at law, helping women with family things. So in that area, I say, why women want to lie if they receive lies a lot in their lives. So why women want to lie ourselves? So that's why I choose this topic. And then I started to analyze almost everything in me. And I found out that I lied to myself about being a woman in so many ways. I'm sorry. I was supposed to talk in Spanish. So I really want to say a lot of things, but I'm so limited. So then I realized that I want to talk more about this because as women, we always lie. We want the perfect body, we want the perfect life, and we lost ourselves in that kind of things. But we don't want to be perfect. Well, I'm sorry, we don't need to be perfect. Perfect is to live as we are, as we feel, as we are. That's the perfection on it. So all that I hear today and all the women in this forum are saying, it's very good because it helps us to think on different points of view, to think in another things of matters. So we need to live as women. We need to share. We need to enjoy. We don't have to be perfect. Humans are not perfect. So I don't understand why we always try to make, as women, we try to be perfect. We don't have to demonstrate anybody that we are perfect because we are perfect. We are women. So, thank you. And, well, we have to take our mask. We are women. We worth it. So we need to focus in our strength, and we need to focus on what we are. Thank you.
Especially when I have been also kind of my own experience, and also I've been meeting so many women who are in the same space and educated women earning a lot of money, leading in leadership positions in multinational companies. But when you actually talk to them, sometimes it is very unfortunate that they probably are not aware or they don't know that the lies they actually are telling themselves. That is something very complex as well that I see in the space. Like in my women friends, I have a couple of women who are subservient to an extent that they would kind of take, very unfortunately, abusive relationship or even physical assaults for that matter, and they are not aware that this is not okay, or this is the lie that they have been telling with statements like, just because I'm a woman, I have a family, I have children, I can't help it, how will I manage alone? So actually, if we think about it, it is, the lies actually are not so easy to actually surface as well for our own selves. So it is so important to have, another thing that I see, we as women, we don't seek help. I mean, we need to learn to seek help. We need to learn to, we don't have to wait till the crisis actually sets in, because we have, like you said, we think we are like super women. We are all alone. We can manage everything. We can manage home, we can manage families, we can manage managers, we can manage society and everything and still be sane. And we don't need help. Like I heard yesterday, strong women, they need strong support. They need somebody to hold them as well. And we have to realize that. And especially in the audience, I'm again honored that you're here. And I don't know if everybody was there, but I would really request you to say a couple of words, because you have been inspirational, and you as well, ma'am. Please, all three of you. It is such an honor to have you in my session. Thank you. You really inspired me.
You're beautiful women and powerful women. And I would love to share a couple of thoughts, and I appreciate this opportunity to all of you. So you made me realize a couple of things that I would love to share from my heart. And that is where it all begins. Is that true? Do you feel that? When we hold still for a moment and we listen to our hearts, we know the truth. The truth lies deep. And sometimes those little monkeys that talk in our ears tell us stories. They're almost always lies, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the idea that all it takes is a little flip. A little fuck you, huh? I love that. I love that we can be in control of that. All it is go away. I'm not going to listen. I have that choice. And secondly, I've learned in my journey that there are lots of days that I wake up and something doesn't work out quite right. Someone else may make a decision that affects my life dramatically, like being widowed so many years ago, right? What I did not share last night was that my husband took his own life.
Yeah.
He'd been very sick for 4 years. I'd taken care of him for 4 years. And one day he decided he could not do that anymore when my beautiful daughter was 6 months old. And my oldest of my 4 children was 6 years old. It's a very difficult situation in my culture, in my community, in Utah. I bring that up because that day a decision was made that I had no control over, but it dramatically affected my life. At that time, I looked at it as a bad thing, as one of those things that was not right, that was not a good part. Today, I look at that very differently. Today, I embrace those hard days. I embrace those hard moments. I do not look at them as bad things. I look at them as stepping stones. And I embrace every heartache, every pain, every difficult experience as it happens now. Those disappointments no longer enter into my soul and affect my energy. They come in and instantly I flip the monkey off and I say, wow, I cannot wait to see what is behind the curtain. You've all heard the story of the little child who just wanted a pony so bad. Do you remember this story? Wanted a pony for their birthday. Birthday came, all the presents were open, no pony. Went outside and there was a big pile of pony poo-poo. He said, there's got to be a pony here somewhere, right? There's got to be a pony. So what I would challenge you to do is to, every single day, as you feel that cloud or that experience that someone else has created in your life that creates that angst or that pause, that moment when we want to call it a negative, to realize that it's a silver lining. There is something wonderful coming. Had I not been widowed at 26 years old and left with 4 babies through suicide, you would not see the woman you see today. Oh, yeah. We're all so connected, are we not? We are. Would you get me 3 pins, please? I want to give you each a pin to wear to remember that we are so connected. The statue is 2 hands, remember? We all have had that time in our life when we've been that hand that needed help, right?
Yeah.
We need
Absolutely.
someone to support us, right?
Absolutely.
But how blessed are we that we are the hand that reaches down now, that says, I can help you. And thank you for helping me.
You too. I think you inspired me so much.
So, there you go.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you want me to say a few things?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. Oh, here is the mic.
Before I just conclude, I was talking about the woman who said fuck off. She's Helen Mirren. So I just wanted to get into statistics. No?
Well, she also says she's a fan of being a badass. Now, these are the kind of women that we were looking for when we came to this conference. Lisa and I are very good friends, and her daughter is with us, which is just fantastic. I wish all my daughters were here. I mean, that's what I've been thinking since I got here. I thought, if only all my daughters were here. I have 3 daughters. I have 3 beautiful daughters, and they all have a voice. And this is what we're here. Actually, this is one of the most important things that we want to give to you before we leave India. We have a mantra. This is our mantra, and we want you to start thinking about this because we want to video you. We want to take you back with us to the United States because this thing we're working on, the statue of responsibility, belongs to each and every one of you. But our mantra is very simple. I am a woman. I have a voice. I am responsible. Woo! One of the first things that we are responsible for is ourselves. You know, you're really not worth much at all to anyone unless you're worth something to yourself. And you have to have a voice. You know, you've talked about something that is extremely important, and I've been working with women empowerment, and as I said last night, and maybe you didn't hear this, I had to first empower myself. Now, I too have had my struggles and my tribulations. I was married for a very, 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 very long time and became divorced. I was doing all these things that I was doing as far as women empowerment, but I didn't see it coming. But one of the things that has occurred, and I think I'm relating to you even more so, is that more doors have opened because I didn't realize that there were strings that were attached to me that were stopping me, that were holding me back. And I think once we find this power, and it's not the power of, it's the power to. And this is something women need to understand about power. Each and every one of you has it. You've always had it. But somewhere along the line, maybe as a child or as a little girl or whatever, someone said to you, you don't have the power. I have the power over you. Or someone said, you're nothing without me. But the power of is what you all have. You have these wonderful talents and abilities to do anything. And you said something very, very important also, fear. Fear is our enemy. Fear is our biggest enemy because we are, as women, you know, we are taught to be responsible, but we're all about keeping everyone safe, taking care of everything. But this fear becomes very, very much a part of women's life. The fear that they will fail, the fear they will not be successful. You also said something very important, is that we need to get help from one another. I have a foundation called Women Connect for Good. And the primary purpose of Women Connect for Good is women supporting other women. And I believe, and this is my premise, especially in the United States of America, women do not support each other. And with that, we are our own worst enemies. It's not you all, it's us. It's us. And oftentimes we talk about you all being the enemy, but we are our own worst enemy. I have had worse times with women coming after me, especially as I came up the chain and took on positions of power, of greater control or greater authority. I remember when I was working on my doctorate, and a woman came up to me, she said to me, instead of saying, wow, Nancy, that's so fantastic that you're getting your doctorate and you're getting your education. She said to me, what about your family? And I said, what about my family? She goes, what are they, who's taking care of them? I said, well, their father's taking care of them. I'm also showing my daughters and my family that they can do anything. But it's amazing to me the number of women that do not support one another. And when I came here yesterday, or the day before, when I arrived here, there was something very different about this group that occurred. I felt this very strong connection with all of you because we are on the same page. And our fear is the last thing we need. Once you get past your fear, you can do anything. I went out and I bungee jumped. I jumped out of a plane. I've done things because I want to get past my fears. Because every fear that I get past, I recognize that I can get past anything. And what we want you to know that you are women, you have a voice, and you are responsible. But you are responsible for yourselves. If you don't have you, you have nothing. And when you leave, I know when I leave, I'm going to have so much more of me to do so much more that I want to do in this world for good, that I want to thank each and every one of you women. And we would love to get every woman to come and say those things. I am woman, I have a voice, I am responsible. We're going to be presenting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we're going to do a lot of videos, but we want to take all of you back with us saying those things that are so important. But I want to congratulate you and you and you, because these women have courage. When I begin my day, every day I do a mantra, I do a meditation, but I begin by saying I have gratitude, but I also want to thank, the gratitude that I have, but it's also, again, making sure that I understand who I am, what I'm here in the world to do, and the many things that are so amazing about each and every woman. We've always had it. We just remember, I'm here to remind you, you have all the talents, you have all the abilities to do exactly what you want to do. Get past your fears, find another woman like these women to support you, and you can do anything. So thank you so much, very much.
There's one thing that I would like to just add, is that one thing when I look back is that we all women, we come from a place of compassion and empathy, and that is something which actually is sometimes taken advantage of, the soft spot that we are in. So what I have learned along the way, and something which has been also hard, because you actually cannot much change your basic self, and I am very compassionate and empathetic person, is that you have to set your boundaries, and which is so important. Compassion also can be of many kinds. It could be idiotic compassion. You don't have to actually get into that space where you have idiotic compassion for people, or anybody for that matter, because the one thing that is taken advantage of is compassion and empathy that as women beings that we are actually possessing. So setting boundaries for our own selves and also for the sake of others is also very important. That is just, I just wanted to add this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. I will be very quick. Thank you for your presentation. For me, all three of you, firstly, you actually overcame your fear of saying, I speak better in Spanish. You embodied what this topic is all about, the lies that you tell yourself, because when you put those papers down and spoke to us from your heart, it had such impact. So thank you for embodying this. That's amazing. And for you as well, I really appreciate the poem that you gave us. I would like a copy of that if that's possible. And your presentation was amazing. Charu, we're just sisters. I feel like I can take on the world now because of your presentation, and you've really motivated and inspired me. My name is Epi Mabika, and I'm from the UK, and I am a social entrepreneur and a publishing consultant as well. So I provide platforms for women to be able to share their voices in the form of writing a book. So I'm really inspired, and we're speaking the same language. My question is, if you can answer me briefly, how do we reach our female counterparts that are still stuck in traditionalism, that is still saying, okay, a woman's place is in the kitchen, and a woman cannot actually rise up and be all she can be? Because we have overcome, we've been able to change our mindsets, but how do we help those that are stuck in traditionalism? That's my question.
Emma, if you allow me to, thank you. I feel for every individual, it's very important to be in the right environment. I'm not saying that you disown your home, but it's very important to be with like-minded people. Right? Even if today also I have negativity in form of friends or certain people whom I can't avoid to be in my surroundings, vicinity, you need to give a shut-up call to them. For that you need to give a very strong mind. So if you are so much keen and your vision is so clear to meet those women, I'm sure they must be carrying the same intentions. So it's very important to empower them with this thought that they need to find out right kind of woman for themselves, because I'm sure it's very tough for a woman from a conservative background, from a conservative city, to go out and just start a revolution. It's just not possible. It just gets goosebumps to me listening to your life story. I didn't know that. And you people are so full of life and so beautiful. I didn't know that you had such a strong struggle. So the right thing is that you need to tell them to meet the right kind of a woman, maybe not somebody who's an entrepreneur, but maybe her granny who can always motivate her, rather than probably her aunt who would say, hey, you go to the kitchen and clean your house, you know. So even that motivation from a granny that, look, start reading a book, or look, go out and even, start forming or making some baskets for your home. A small motivation even from the household members, even from her child. Because the way this woman has come up, I think her strength were her 4 children. And this lady who's divorced, and then you guys have, amazing people. How did they come out? I was showing slides of so many successful women. So I think next would be you guys. Because we could relate to you. So, yeah, and just a minute. And secondly, you, something which I just wanted to add on. We women need to respect women, for women to rise. That's very, very important, very important. So tell her to meet like-minded people, maybe your granny, maybe your friend, who can tell, let's go ahead, and that will make a difference.
I understand what you just said, actually, and I'm myself facing this kind of, you can say, situation where I have actually 3 people, one in my family as well, who are actually stuck in that place. And whatever I talk or tell them doesn't seem to have much so-called effect, because as I said, we are so unaware of the lies that we are telling ourselves. So it's actually about holding their hands and also sharing about from where we are coming. It's about trying to resonate our own stories with them. And there are 2 women friends actually. After what I did, they actually had the strength, and they wrote to me, which really inspired me, that Rajita, when I saw you where you are today, where you were, probably 10 years back, we have taken such decisions as well, which they were not able to take otherwise. So it's about holding their hands and about telling them we are all the bozos on the bus. We all are in the same boat, and we have to help each other. So, and it's also about telling them to strike a balance, in the sense, I don't come from a space which is aggressive or angry. I would like to be in a place which is non-violent, or which is compassionate, or which is kind, because and that's important as well. So I think it's about holding hands and sharing the stories and telling them that we are there to help you, to support you, and this has worked actually, but it takes a little time. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It's been a great session so far, and one of the enthralling and euphoric session I have ever had in my life about the woman empowerment and uplifting the world. I would like to have one of the quotation and to urge to the Vinay Rai sir that in 2017 WEF I would like to have session of the lies I tell myself about being a man. And Jignesh, can we have a grand salute for the ladies?
Yes. This is how we end up. I would request Lisa ma'am to hand over a certificate of appreciation to Charu Kumar ma'am. Please ma'am.
And you as well, please.
All of you, in fact, I think we all.
Yes, we can have.
Fun as well.
I am a woman. I am responsible. Younger all These are how wonderful that girl.